Beneath the cold moonlight of Nikko, there lies a forgotten bridge stained with the screams of the past. They say if you walk across it, do not look toward the end, because the moment you see them, they see you. Welcome to the curse of Oiran Bridge, where the dead never stop waiting. Chapter 1: The Bridge No One Must Look Across. In the desolate mountains of Nikko, there stands an old, decaying red wooden bridge stretching across a bottomless ravine, where even sunlight seems to be swallowed whole. The locals call it by a name as beautiful as it is chilling: Oiran Bridge, the Courtesans' Bridge. No one remembers exactly when the bridge became strictly forbidden, especially after nightfall. Stories have been whispered from one generation to the next, layering into a deeply rooted fear. Some claim that the very moment you step onto the bridge, the wind changes direction, turning icy cold as though it were the breath of the women whose spirits remain trapped beneath the earth. People warn one another in hushed voices. Greater than anyone who walks across it must never look toward the end of the bridge. If they do, they will see what should never be seen. There were those who dared to challenge the curse. The ones who returned, if any, spoke of floating figures in tattered kimonos gathered at the far end of the bridge. No faces. No voices. Only the chilling jingle of bell ornaments tied into their hair, rattling like fingernails scraping against a coffin. Some would call it a mere illusion, shadows and fog playing tricks on the eyes. Yet, oddly, none of those skeptics ever returned a second time. And then there are those who never made it back at all. It is said that if a living person dares to stare into the end of the bridge, the courtesans will notice that gaze. They will slowly move closer, step by step, like a long-forgotten ghostly dance. Their intentions remain unknown, until the moment their victim vanishes without a trace. All that remains afterward is the faint echo of bells, lingering for days in the forest air. The elders whisper cautiously whenever the bridge is mentioned. Greater than whoever stops upon that bridge will take the place of a courtesan beneath the ravine. And so the villagers stay away. Children are never allowed near it. Even tourists brave enough to scoff at superstition feel a shiver crawl up their spine when they hear the tale. Because beneath the moonlight, the red bridge stands, like a fresh wound carved into the land, a scar that refuses to fade. Though time has rotted its wood and frayed its ropes, Oiran Bridge still waits, quietly, patiently, as if it is missing one more soul. And tonight, when the full moon rises above the mountain peaks, the curse will stir once again. A stranger is approaching the bridge, someone about to become the next chapter of a horror story better left untold. Chapter 2: The Invitation from the Dark. In the vibrant night of Yokohama, where the city glows with neon lights instead of haunted moonlight, Minh sat hunched over his desk editing his latest paranormal video. His tiny room was cluttered with camera gear, tripods, and external drives, the battlefield of a YouTuber struggling to stay relevant. A notification suddenly chimed. A new email. Sender unknown. No subject. Minh frowned and opened it. There was only one single line. Greater than, if you dare to film the truth, go to Oiran Bridge. Attached was a map marking the path through the mountains of Nikko, and a large sum of money had just been wired into Minh's account less than an hour ago. Money enough to keep his failing channel alive. For months, Minh leaned back, heart beating a little faster. He had heard rumors on international ghost forums about a forbidden bridge where courtesans were murdered and their souls never left. But rumors are rumors. He convinced himself it was likely some tourist marketing trick. Yet, an eerie chill ran down his spine the moment he read the message. An instinctive fear whispering that this was no simple invitation. Just then, Minh's camera turned on by itself. The screen flickered, and an image appeared. A red wooden bridge swallowed by fog. A shadowy woman in a dripping kimono stood motionless at the very end of the bridge. The camera shook slightly, as if someone was filming right there. Minh's breath hitched, his fingers trembled. Suddenly, the camera shut off. A cold gust blew across his room. Not from the air conditioner. That had been broken for a week. Another notification. A second message. Greater than, do not look toward the end of the bridge. If you do, they will look back. Below the message was a short 3-second video. Minh hesitated, then clicked play. Darkness. Then, the sound of bells jingling. A faint whisper of fabric. A flash of a pale woman's face. Pressed directly against the camera lens. Blood dripping from empty eye sockets. Like tears of darkness. The clip ended abruptly. Minh sat frozen. Fear surged through him. Yet at the same time, ambition flared hotter. This could be the viral moment he'd been waiting for. He grabbed his phone and called Hai. His closest friend and camera operator. Hai answered, groggy. What's up? It's late. Minh swallowed, trying to steady his voice. Pack your gear. We've got a new location. A real haunting this time. Hai groaned. Don't tell me it's another ghost bridge. Minh's gaze fell back to the email. The last line still glowing red. Greater than do not look toward the end of the bridge. Minh whispered, almost to himself. Not this time. This time, the ghost is real. He didn't know it yet. But from the moment he opened that email, the darkness had already chosen him. Their journey to Oiran Bridge had no way back. Chapter 3, A Blood-Soaked History. 3 centuries ago, this region was once a prosperous mining site. Workers from across the land came seeking fortune, and along with them came Oiran, the highest-ranking courtesans trained in music, dance, and refined entertainment, beautiful flowers planted in the soil of misery. At first, they were brought here as luxury companions for wealthy miners. But greed has no bottom. The Oiran were illegally imprisoned in remote brothels near the mines, cut off from any chance of escape. Their laughter faded. Their songs turned into soft weeping behind sealed doors. On nights of the full moon, the faint plucking of shamisen and the gentle tapping of wooden geta shoes echoed, not in celebration, but as a desperate attempt to cling to the last fragments of their dignity. Yet their eyes, their once bright, hopeful eyes, grew hollow and lifeless. Then the mines dried up. The money vanished. The miners abandoned the town. The question hung heavily. What would happen to the women who could expose the crimes done to them? The mine owner, a cruel man who saw women merely as property, became terrified of being punished. So he devised a plan to erase every witness. One icy winter night, more than 50 Oiran were bound by rope and led out of the brothels in a single line. Like puppets drained of all hope, their beautiful bell ornaments and silk hairpins were left untouched, a twisted mockery of their former glory. A young girl, barely 17, trembling, dared to ask, "Greater than, will you set us free?" The mine owner smiled hideously. "Yes, we will give you your freedom." Then his axe swung. A horrifying crack. The ropes supporting the middle of Oiran Bridge were chopped apart. The bridge collapsed. The women screamed, raw, terrified, soul-shattering screams, before plunging into the churning river and jagged rocks below. Blood dyed the water redder than the bridge itself. Not a single woman survived. Bodies caught on rocks, tangled in the remains of rope, left to rot in the freezing currents. Yet at night, the bells still chimed. Their voices never faded. Their hatred never died. The villagers believed that the Oiran spirits remained trapped on the bridge, unable to rest, unable to forgive, abandoned, betrayed, left to suffer in darkness. So they wait for the living to join them in the depths. One more victim, one more soul to replace a stolen life. Tonight, footsteps are approaching the cursed bridge again. Chapter 4, A Night in Nikko. The last train screeched to a halt at Nikko station as night tightened its grip on the town. Cold mist rolled in from the mountains, spreading over the tracks like a silent, creeping shroud. Minh and Hai stepped out, their backpacks heavy with camera gear and naive ambition. Nikko, to most travelers, was a peaceful town of ancient temples and cultural charm. But under the cloak of darkness, it transformed. Quiet, watchful, as if the land itself was holding its breath. Their inn sat near the edge of a dense forest. The dim lantern light flickering through its old wooden windows made the place feel like a relic from the Edo era, a time when ghosts and tragedies walked openly among the living. The owner, an elderly woman with a frail frame and silver hair tied back neatly, greeted them, her eyes, sharp despite her age, immediately locked onto the camera bag Minh carried. She froze. For a brief moment, fear, raw and unmistakable, flashed in her expression. "What brings you boys here? Sightseeing?" Her voice trembled slightly. Minh smiled politely. "We're filming a documentary. Exploring a special location tonight." The old woman's hand tightened around the cloth she was holding. Her voice dropped. "Don't tell me you're planning to visit Oiran Bridge?" Hai laughed lightly. "Yeah, that's the place. It's famous, right?" The woman's face drained of all color. A glass she had been wiping slipped from her hands and cracked on the table. "No, not tonight. Absolutely not tonight." Her quivering voice suddenly sharp and urgent. "Tonight is a full moon, and on full moon nights, they wake up." The atmosphere thickened instantly. Even Hai's smile faltered. Minh tried to keep his tone calm. "We'll be careful. We'll go, film a bit, and come right back." But the woman shook her head violently. "You don't understand. Those women died in unbearable injustice. When the moon is full, they call out to men. Their voices filled with endless hatred. Anyone who hears them will see them. Anyone who sees them never returns." She raised a trembling hand and pointed to a framed photograph on the wall. A young man, laughing brightly in front of the red bridge. Below the photo, "Missing, body never recovered." "That was my grandson," she whispered. "He went there once. Just once." Her voice cracked. "He was never found again." Minh swallowed hard. For the first time, doubt started to seep into his bravado. But as they walked to their room, Hai nudged Minh with a forced grin. "She's just trying to scare us off. Think about the views, man." Minh didn't answer. Because inside his pocket, a notification glowed ominously. He pulled out his phone. The same email still open. One single line flashing red like fresh blood. "Greater than do not look toward the end of the bridge." 11 p.m. The full moon rose higher over the mountains. The old woman's warning echoed in Minh's mind. Yet, the boys stepped deeper into destiny's shadow. Chapter 5, The Path into the Forest. Nearly midnight. The cold in Nikko cut sharply through every layer of clothing, turning every breath into a wisp of pale mist. Minh and Hai tightened their jackets, slung their gear over their shoulders, and quietly left the inn, as though sneaking off to commit a forbidden act. The full moon loomed high, unnaturally bright, an unblinking eye watching them enter the darkness. They followed a dirt path into the forest. The beam of their flashlight was swallowed quickly by the dense fog creeping low to the ground. Trees arched overhead like skeletal arms, intertwined as if trying to seal off any escape. With each step deeper, the forest fell into a frightening silence. No crickets, no wind, only the soft crunch of dead leaves beneath their feet, echoing like Geta sandals on an old wooden hallway. Minh whispered, forcing calm. "The map says about 1 more kilometer. There should be a warning sign near the bridge." Hai scoffed, his voice trembling despite the bravado. That old lady was way too dramatic. The scarier the legend, the better the footage. Then, jing, jing, jing. A bell rang. Soft. Close. The two froze instantly. "That's just, maybe the wind?" Minh muttered. But the air was completely still. They continued forward, though the darkness felt heavier with every step. The fog thickened until even the moonlight disappeared. Hai swept his flashlight to the side. It hit something buried under bamboo leaves. A blood-stained wooden geta. Minh crouched down. It was old, the style worn by Edo-era courtesans. And the blood wasn't dry. A crimson trail stretched forward, as though someone had been dragged deep into the forest. Hai swallowed hard. Someone must have dropped a prop, right? But a cold dread tightened Minh's chest. Suddenly, their flashlight flickered. Once. Twice. Then, darkness. Hai cursed under his breath. No. 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 No, I just replaced the batteries. Minh fumbled with his camera's light, turning it on. The beam illuminated a narrow path ahead, leaves swirling unnaturally, as if guiding them onward. Then, a silhouette appeared. A woman. Kimono white as bone. Head drooped low. Long black hair dangling like dripping seaweed. Standing absolutely still. Watching. Waiting. Minh's heart stopped. Hai choked on his breath. Human, right? Hai whispered. The woman's head tilted ever so slightly. And she vanished into the fog. Panic surged through Minh. Let's go back. But before they could turn around, the mist parted, revealing the red bridge, suspended above darkness so deep it appeared bottomless. Its ropes frayed. Its wooden planks cracked and screaming beneath the slightest touch. At the far end of the bridge, shadows lined up in a row. Beneath the moon's gaze, Minh felt as though he was standing beneath a spotlight. The unwelcome star of a cruel performance. Hai forced a fragile grin. We'll film and get out. Quick, quick. A sudden thump made them jump. The bloodied Geta rolled to their feet. Not pushed. Not dropped. It moved on its own. The bells chimed again. This time with hunger. A whisper slithered through the mist. Greater than, come closer. Minh's grip tightened on the camera. There was no turning back now. The bridge had chosen them. Chapter 6, Footsteps on the Bridge. Oiran Bridge loomed before them, a decaying red threshold to a place where the living did not belong. The ropes holding it together had frayed into fragile threads, and the planks beneath their feet looked ready to splinter at the slightest misstep. Each groan of the wood sounded like a dying breath. Minh raised his camera, letting its small light cut through the fog, illuminating the cursed path ahead. Hai forced a shaky smile. Just a couple of shots, and we run. But fear had already lodged itself deep in his voice. They stepped onto the bridge. Creak. The wood cried under their weight. A gust of ice-cold wind rushed up from the abyss below, carrying a foul stench like wet fabric rotting for years. Minh's skin prickled painfully, a chill slicing through him as if whispering. Leave. Minh hissed. Don't look toward the end of the bridge. You heard the warning. Hai swallowed hard. If we don't, we'll have no footage. Before Minh could argue, Hai looked up. His light flickered toward the far end of the bridge. His face changed instantly. From fear to terror to something emptied. He dropped his flashlight. It clattered loudly, rolling across the planks. Minh grabbed his shoulder. Hai? Talk to me. Hai didn't blink. Didn't breathe. He whispered, voice hollow. They're watching me. Minh felt the air shift. Keng, keng, keng. The bells chimed. Slow, deliberate, growing nearer. A laugh, gurgling, broken, strangled, drifted through the dark. Minh jerked the camera toward the sound, but its beam hit only fog. Panic surged. Minh slapped Hai, desperation overriding everything. Snap out of it, we have to go. Hai flinched, gasped, like a drowning man breaking the surface. He staggered, gripping Minh's jacket. I heard them, right in my ear. The bridge shuddered violently beneath them. Rip. A plank tore free, crashing into the abyss. Minh grabbed Hai's arm, pulling him back. From the darkness below, a pale hand reached up. Fingers long, nails sharp like claws, swiping blindly at their legs. Minh yanked Hai away just in time. The hand vanished, sucked back into the void. They backed up, step by step, hearts pounding. But the bells behind them grew faster. Something, was on the bridge with them. Minh didn't dare turn around. Breath trembling, he whispered. They're right behind us, aren't they? Hai's answer was a barely audible tremor. They're getting closer. The planks creaked in sequence. Step, 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 matching the rhythm of their racing hearts. Minh felt it then. A cold presence hovering inches from his back. It wanted him to turn around. To look. To acknowledge it. He clenched his teeth. tears of terror pricking his eyes. "Don't look, don't look, don't look." Behind them, a soft woman's voice, soaked in sorrow and hate, whispered, "Greater than, look at us." The curse had awakened. And the bridge was hungry. Chapter 7, The Faceless Oiran. The footsteps grew louder, undeniable now, as if invisible feet were pressing into the decaying planks only inches away. Minh slowly raised the camera, its trembling light carving a narrow path through the suffocating fog. What the beam revealed made Minh's blood curdle. A row of women stood near the far end of the bridge. Their kimonos, once vibrant, lavish works of art, now hung drenched in murky water, dripping onto the wood below. Long black hair clung to their faces like seaweed torn from the depths. They did not move. They did not breathe. But every head tilted, at the exact same chilling angle, as if their necks had all been broken in the same violent moment. Minh's voice was barely a breath. "Hai, don't lift your head. Don't look at them." But Hai was already staring. His pupils dilated, his mind hollowing out. He whispered through a twisted smile, "They're smiling at me." The lead Oiran stepped forward. Her bells chimed, a sound too sharp, too cold, to belong to anything human. And then, she lifted her head. Minh's heart nearly stopped. Beneath her hair was no face. Just a pale, smooth surface, stained with wet, red streaks where features should have been. Two sunken hollows of raw, bleeding flesh marked where eyes once looked upon the world. Minh stumbled back, camera shaking violently in his grip. Suddenly, creak, creak. The Oiran behind her lifted their heads too. Every one of them. No eyes. No nose. No mouth. Only mutilated remains of what once were beautiful faces, now erased by suffering. Their kimonos spread slightly as they glided forward. Not walking, but floating, as if held up by invisible nooses. Minh screamed, "Run!" But Hai stood frozen, body slack, as though marionette strings controlled him now. Their voices, layered, whispering, swarmed into Minh's mind. "Greater than, come with us. Be ours. Replace us." Minh slapped Hai again, hard. Hai gasped, stumbling as he snapped out of the trance. Together, they sprinted back along the bridge. Yet the Oiran followed, silently gliding, closing the distance without a single sound of footsteps. Bells jingled, faster now, like the rattling heartbeat of doomed souls. The entire bridge quivered beneath their weight. Or was it beneath the weight of the dead closing in? A furious cry erupted behind them. "Greater than, don't leave us." The bridge lurched. Hai slipped, one foot plunging through a crack. Minh dragged him up, adrenaline screaming through his veins. They didn't dare look back, because they knew, if they did, they would see death reaching out to claim them. Chapter 8, The Scream into the Abyss. They ran. Minh clung to Hai's arm, dragging him across the trembling bridge as if hell itself was snapping at their heels. The dead were no longer silent. The bells jingled wildly, desperate, hungry. Hai gasped, breath shattering. "Minh, I can't." Minh held tighter. "Just a little more. We're almost off the bridge." But the bridge had other plans. Crack. A plank beneath Hai's foot snapped clean through. His body pitched forward, half of him already dangling over the black void. Minh caught his hand just in time. "Hold on, I've got you," Minh screamed, muscles straining. Below them, the abyss breathed. Its cold, rotten exhale carried the stink of death and stagnant river water. Something slithered beneath the darkness. Then, a hand grabbed Hai's ankle. Pale, water swollen, fingers sharp like broken bone. Hai shrieked, "Let go of me. Let go." Minh pulled with everything he had, panic tearing through him. "I won't let you fall. I swear." But more hands burst from the shadows below, clawing at Hai's legs, arms, clothes, each touch leaving long, freezing welts on his skin. Their undead grip tightened like iron. Hai's voice cracked into a sob. "They're calling me. Minh, they're calling my name. His eyes widened, terror replaced by a strange resignation. In a quivering whisper, I'm sorry. And then, he let go. Minh screamed. Hai, no. Hai was yanked downward, swallowed whole by the darkness in one brutal motion. His last scream was cut short, as if the abyss itself devoured the sound. Minh collapsed to his knees, hands still stretched out into empty air. His body trembled violently. His heart refused to understand the truth. Hai was gone. Completely. Irrevocably. Silence settled. Until Jane? Right behind Minh's ear. Minh froze. Breath stolen from his lungs. A voice, cold and sweet like a razor dipped in poison, whispered. Greater than, now it's your turn. Minh. The bridge creaked under unseen weight. The dead were not finished. Chapter 9, The Woman Behind Him. Minh stood frozen on the bridge, his mind shattered by the horror of watching Hai disappear into the abyss. His hand still reached into the dark, trembling as if refusing to accept that it now grasped nothing but empty air. The silence that followed was suffocating. Then, Jane? The bells chimed again. But not behind the fog ahead. Not below the bridge. Right behind him. Minh's breath stopped cold in his chest. A prickling sensation crawled along his spine. The unmistakable feeling of someone standing inches away, watching, reaching. He forced his legs to move. 1 step. 2. The bells followed, matching him. Step for step. He whispered to himself. Don't turn around. Don't look. Don't give them a reason. But the footsteps, soft and damp, grew closer. The air at his back shifted. Something was breathing there. Slow. Shallow. Dead. A cold wind brushed his neck. Not whined. Fingers. Minh clamped a hand over his mouth to keep from screaming. He tilted his eyes to the side. Just enough to see a glimpse of white silk trailing behind him. A kimono. He couldn't stop shaking. A voice, so soft it grazed his ear like a dying sigh, whispered. Greater than, don't leave me. Panic flooded Minh's veins. He couldn't endure another second. He turned and saw her. A faceless Oiran stood directly behind him, as if she had always been there. Her kimono soaked in black river water clung to her thin frame. Her hair, long, dripping, curtained her blank face. Her hands rested lightly on his shoulders. Cold. Possessive. Claiming him. Minh gasped in terror. The woman's touch slid downward. Her icy fingers tracing his chest as if searching for his heartbeat. Her voice scraped through the air. Greater than, stay with us. Minh finally found his voice and screamed. A raw plea carved out of pure survival. He shoved himself free, stumbling backward onto the forest side of the bridge. Branches cracked beneath his feet as he ran blindly into the trees. But the bells followed. Their sound did not fade. Each time he stumbled, they jingled closer, matching his rhythm, like a shadow sewn to his spine. A voice, now inside his skull, whispered gently. Greater than, don't make me chase you. Into deeper darkness. Minh realized something horrifying. He had escaped the bridge. But the curse had followed him. And the woman behind him wasn't letting go. Chapter 10, The Way Back Erased. Minh ran into the forest, lungs burning, legs numb with terror. The thick fog swallowed his flashlight beam whole, leaving only vague shapes of trees stretching like skeletal fingers toward the moon. Branches whipped at his face. Roots lurched beneath his feet. But he didn't dare stop. He finally reached the trail they had taken earlier. Or at least, he thought he did. Because the path was gone. The narrow dirt track that once led to safety had vanished into a wall of twisted trees and suffocating darkness. As if the forest had swallowed the exit hole. Minh gasped. No, this isn't right. He pulled out his phone, hands shaking. No service. The GPS marker spun wildly, then disappeared altogether. He was trapped. The forest seemed to exhale around him, branches creaking like bones waking from a long slumber. Then, pop! His camera light died. Darkness surged in. In the suffocating silence, footsteps pressed into the wet soil behind him. Slow, heavy, deliberate. Minh fumbled with his phone's flashlight. A faint glow flickered to life. It illuminated something lying across the ground. A crimson ribbon. Wet, streaked with fresh blood. Its end disappeared into a dense cluster of bushes. Minh stumbled backward, heart pounding against his ribs like a trapped animal. His heel knocked against something hard. He turned the light. A Kanzashi hairpin, still tangled with strands of black hair ripped from a scalp. Minh gagged, dropping it instantly. Then, a hand shot up from beneath the leaves. White and stiff with death. Fingernails blackened, cracked like blood-soaked glass. It grabbed his ankle. Minh fell, screaming, kicking wildly until he broke free. Dead fingers clawed the air, desperate to pull him under the soil. He scrambled to his feet and ran again. But the forest was changing. The trees moved. More red ribbons dangled from branches above, swaying like nooses. Some dripped water. Some dripped blood. Minh's phone buzzed loudly in his hand, vibrating like a frantic heartbeat. A new message. Sent from Hai's number. Minh stared at the glowing screen in paralyzing dread. Greater than, you can't run. You belong to them now. His vision blurred with terror. He dropped the phone. Behind him. Jane? Faster now. Closer. The sound of a soaking wet kimono dragged across the forest floor. A cold awareness strangled his breath. They were surrounding him. A voice, one he would never forget, whispered at the nape of his neck. Greater than, you still owe us a life. Minh turned slowly, but there was only darkness deeper than death. He wasn't escaping the bridge. The bridge was coming for him. Chapter 11, The Courtesan's Lantern. Minh gasped for breath, stumbling deeper into the cursed forest. His clothes clung to his skin, drenched in cold sweat and fog. His mind spun in panic. The woman with the kimono, the hands beneath the leaves. Hai's voice. He wasn't just being hunted. He was being claimed. Suddenly, a soft glow appeared near his feet. Minh halted. A paper lantern lay on the ground among the dead leaves. White surface. Painted with red floral patterns. No. Those were finger streaks of blood. Inside the lantern, an eerie flame flickered, glowing weakly like a dying heartbeat. Before Minh could step away, the lantern brightened, illuminating a path deeper into the forest. Guiding him. Luring him. Minh hesitated. But staying still meant dying slower. His shaking hands picked up the lantern. Instantly, warmth stung his palms, not comforting warmth, but the sensation of holding something alive. A chill rippled over his spine. Fog parted, just enough to reveal a narrow trail ahead. Then, tea-tack, tea-tack? Droplets of water hid Minh's neck. He reached up, fingers brushing against wet hair. Not his hair. He jerked away in horror. Above him, strands of long black hair dangled from the branches like a grotesque curtain. They twitched. They writhed. They reached. Minh stumbled backward, clutching the lantern tightly. Then the flame inside flared, revealing a figure silently waiting ahead. A woman. White kimono. Drenched. Motionless. Her hair covered her face completely. Water dripped from her fingertips onto the soil. She raised her arms slowly. A gesture asking for something. Minh looked down at the lantern. She wanted it. Every instinct screamed. Don't give it to her. Don't go to her. Before Minh could react, the forest erupted. Voices, dozens, hundreds, hissed from every direction. Greater than, return our light. Give it back. We still fall. The lantern in Minh's hand suddenly changed. Blood-red words began bleeding through its surface, as if written from inside the lantern. Greater than, you owe us one life. Minh's heart crashed against his ribs. The woman stepped closer, her soaked sleeves dragging across the dirt. Then, jing, jing, jing. The sound of bells vibrated the air. The entire forest lit up, as hundreds of identical lanterns ignited around Minh, floating like lost souls. And beneath each lantern, an Oiran stood, faceless, watching. The woman closest whispered, voice scraping bone. Greater than, it's time to repay the debt. Her hand grabbed Minh's shoulder from behind. Minh turned, and found himself surrounded. Lanterns flickering like funeral lights. Eyes he couldn't see but could feel. Sorrow twisted into hatred. The circle of the dead had closed. Chapter 12. Back to Oiran Bridge. The lantern's light flickered wildly as the faceless Oiran closed in. Minh tried to scream, but only a raspy breath escaped his throat. Hands, cold, wet, unyielding, pressed against his back and arms, hurting him in one single direction. The forest slowly parted, revealing the cursed bridge once again. Oiran Bridge. Its red planks, slick with moisture, gleamed like exposed flesh under the frost-bitten moonlight. The ropes creaked as though groaning from the weight of countless tragedies. Minh dug his heels into the dirt. No, I won't go back there. But the hands behind him pushed harder. There was no escape. There had never been. The lead Oiran raised her arm, pointing straight at the midpoint of the bridge, where so many women had screamed their last breath. Where Hai had vanished. Minh was forced forward, each step trembling, each breath colder, each heartbeat a countdown. He could hear whispers slithering beneath the bridge, the river below murmuring like a grave not yet full. As he reached the center, a coil of rope dropped in front of his feet. Frayed, stained by centuries of blood. A noose. Minh's pulse spiked in horror. A faceless Oiran glided forward. Her neck bore a deep furrow, the circular mark of a rope once tied too tightly. Her voice grated from within that wound. Greater than, men promised us freedom. Then they cut the ropes. And we fell. Fingers, icy and corpse pale, grabbed Minh's jaw, forcing him to look into the void where her face should be. Greater than, tonight, freedom is yours. Fall as we fell. The other Oiran leaned in, movements synchronized, grotesque, rehearsed through centuries of pain. Their dangling kimono sleeves soaked the planks with trails of dark water. A chime of bells signaled the ritual's next stage. Clink, clink, clink. Behind the Oiran, the abyss yawned wider than death itself. Minh's breaths turned shallow, his vision blurred with terror and tears. I'm not one of them, he choked. I didn't hurt you. A cold hand slid over his chest, her touch icier than the river below. Greater than, all men are the same. All must repay what was stolen. The noose slithered around his torso like a serpent of judgment. The forest fell silent. Even the wind dared not breathe. Minh stared at the end of the bridge, the place he had been warned never to look. A faint red glow shimmered there. A gateway for the damned. The lead Oiran leaned close. Greater than, don't turn away now. We'll take you down ourselves. The bridge trembled. Bells screamed. And Minh understood. This was no haunting. This was an execution. Chapter 13. The crime repeated. The rope tightened around Minh's chest, biting into his ribs like the jaws of a starved beast. Every breath felt stolen, a desperate, painful gasp against the cold grip of death. The women who once danced for wealthy men now encircled him, floating like puppets suspended by invisible strings. Their kimonos dripped with the river's decay. Their bells chimed like a funeral song. Hatred seeped from them in waves. Whispers piled upon whispers. Greater than, fall. Join us. Repay the debt? One Oiran drifted closer. Her fingers were twisted and bone-thin. Nails split and blood blackened from clawing at rocks for salvation that never came. She traced the rope wound around Minh's torso as if admiring a familiar accessory. Her voice creaked like waterlogged wood. Greater than, we were promised freedom. And then they cut the ropes. We fell screaming into the dark. A chorus of agony rippled through the others, heads jerking as if reliving their final descent. Minh sobbed. "Please, I am not them. I didn't hurt you." But his words meant nothing. A faceless woman leaned in, a black, rotting abyss where her features should have been. Her voice oozed venom. "Greater than, all men watched us die. All men must replace us." Minh's legs lifted off the bridge. Invisible forces hoisted him upward, dangling above the rotting planks like a newly hanged corpse. The rope squeezed. His vision blurred into static. He saw below. The abyss waited, mouth open, patient. Minh thrashed for life, hoarse and panicked. No, not like this. But dozens of cold hands held him fast, gripping his arms. His ankles, his throat, their movements were warped, violent, a ritual passed down through centuries of vengeance. One Oiran arched backward, her voice rising in a terrible prayer. "Greater than, let the living fall. As we fell, let the blood return to the river." From above, Minh saw something else. The silhouettes of headless women dangling from decayed ropes tied to the bridge's frame, swaying lifelessly. Their bodies twitched, as if eager to welcome him among their ranks. Minh's scream lodged in his throat. The rope tightened again. Snap, a rib cracked. Gasping, he felt consciousness slipping through the haze of terror. Across the bridge's rotted boards, Minh saw a figure. High, but not alive. Soaked, twisted, drowned. High raised a trembling hand toward him. "Greater than, don't let them make you fall." Minh's eyes widened. High was trying to save him. But something else yanked High backward, dragging him into the shadows once again. Minh's heart shattered. The rope jerked, signaling the end. This time, there would be no second chance. Chapter 14, The Fatal Fall. The rope around Minh's chest jerked violently, cutting through flesh and bone. His feet dangled above the bridge, kicking in pure panic as oxygen drained away from his lungs. His heart hammered so loud he could hear it echo against the wood. Below him, the abyss roared like a starving beast. The faceless Oiran floated closer, surrounding him like a cage of drowned spirits. Their bells rang in a chilling, frantic rhythm, the countdown to Minh's death. Minh's fingers clawed at the rope, desperate. Please stop." A cold whisper scraped along his jaw. "Greater than, we begged too." The rope tightened again. His vision blurred into shimmering stars. The lead Oiran raised her arm. A signal. The rope snapped downward. Minh plummeted. Wind slashed at his skin, the cold so fierce it felt like knives carving through him. His scream tore through the night, but the ravine swallowed it instantly. Then, a glimpse of the river beneath. Black, silent, hungry. And in that darkness, faces stared back at him. Dozens of pale, bloated faces, with clumps of hair floating like seaweed around them. Eyes rotted out, mouths stuck open in eternal silent screams. They reached upward with twisted arms, waiting to drag Minh down where light could not survive. Minh's soul froze. Splash! Water hit him like concrete. The shock punched the air from his lungs. Icy cold flooded his veins. No up, no down. Only darkness crushing him from every direction. He tried to swim, but dead hands wrapped around his legs. Another gripped his throat. Another ripped at his clothes. Another clawed his back. Minh thrashed wildly, choking. His scream drowned in the black water. Through the suffocating dark, a shape appeared, right before his face. High, but his eyes were empty. His skin bloated. His mouth moved slowly, the final plea of a soul forever trapped. Greater than, don't die like me. Then something explosive. A force dragged Minh upward, as if the abyss was spitting him out. He burst back above water, coughing, screaming, choking on air and terror. The rope held him again, suspended between life and death, hovering above the black river. His ribs burned with every gasp. His body trembled uncontrollably. The Oiran stared at him with their faceless agony. The ritual wasn't finished. They wanted him alive. just long enough to feel everything. A voice, ancient and furious, thundered inside his skull. Greater than, fall again. The rope loosened. Minh felt the world tilt. This time, he understood. They wouldn't pull him back again. His life was seconds away from ending. His final thought, I don't want to die. The bridge shook violently. The bells screamed. And Minh fell again. Chapter 15, the final recording. Minh plunged once more into the ravenous dark. No rope pulling him back. No hands reaching to save him. Only the abyss. Open, eternal, waiting. The wind howled past his ears, swallowing his breath. The black surface of the river surged closer and closer, stretching into a monstrous grin. Minh's final scream tore from his chest. Splash. Again the water struck like stone. Lungs emptied, mind fractured by the freezing shock. Hands seized him instantly. Arms of the drowned. Skin bloated and torn. Eyes hollow pits staring into his soul. They dragged him downward, deeper and deeper. The moonlight vanished. The world turned to liquid night. Minh's limbs flailed, weak, dying. Oxygen burned away into agony. He saw her then. The lead Oiran, floating before him like the queen of the damned. Her kimono billowed in the black current. Her faceless head leaned inches from his own. Her voice echoed inside his skull. Greater than, your life, is ours. Minh's vision flickered. And went dark. 1 week later. A search crew combed the forest, the ravine, and the waters below Oiran Bridge. They found no bodies. No blood. No clothing. No sign that Minh or Hai had ever set foot there. Except for one thing. Minh's camera. It dangled from a broken branch on the cliffside. As if deliberately placed to be found. The police took it in for review. Inside, multiple recordings were intact. Strange noises. Jingling bells. Footage of fog swallowing the bridge whole. Then, the final clip began. Minh appeared on screen. Soaked, shivering, eyes flooded with terror. Behind him, shadows. Many of them. Women in dripping kimonos, motionless. Filling the entire bridge. Minh's whisper trembled. Greater than, if someone finds this. Please, don't come here. The camera jerked violently as Minh was yanked backward. The final frame. The distorted face of a faceless Oiran. Pressing against the lens. Blood leaking from her empty sockets. As bells shrieked in the background. Then. Static. -- Local news headlines. Greater than, Nikko police search for missing travelers. Oiran Bridge closed indefinitely. But online. The video leaked. Went viral overnight. Millions watched. Most called it fake. But then the comments began appearing. Accounts with no profile pictures. No names. No history. Greater than, we are waiting. The bridge is calling you. When will you come to the end? Some viewers reported hearing bells behind them while watching. Others saw a figure in a white kimono at the corner of their room. Some said they dreamed of a red bridge. And woke with the feeling of hands around their ankles. Oiran Bridge had claimed its victims. But the curse did not stay on the bridge. It travels through the eyes that dare to look. Through the fear that keeps watching. Through the screen where Minh's last warning is still playing. So if, while reading this, you suddenly hear bells behind you, don't turn around. They hate being seen. And they are always searching for the next soul to fall. If the bells begin to ring behind you, don't turn around. If you glimpse a kimono swaying in the corner of your eye, don't look twice. The bridge has already marked you. And the Oiran. Never forget a promise. Thank you for watching. But beware. The curse follows those who stay until the end.
Like and subscribe to Whispering Dark Tales for more chilling ghost stories.